The best revenge is to move on and let karma do the rest.
Broken chains. On the prowl. The air was cool and heavy as Karlie jogged through the quiet streets of the city. The hum of distant traffic served as a backdrop to the symphony of her thoughts. Her sleek track sneakers moved silently across the pavement, blending seamlessly into the shadows. Tonight felt different. There was a weight in the air that she couldn't shake. As she turned a corner into a residential area, a muffled cry caught her attention. She froze, her senses sharpening, and followed the sound to a small weathered house at the end of the block. The dim light from a cracked window revealed a man's silhouette, his voice loud and harsh. Karlie crept closer, careful to stay in the shadows. Through the thin curtains, she saw him. A burly man pacing the living room, his hand clutching a beer bottle. Sitting on the floor in front of the couch was a young girl, no older than 13. Her small frame seemed to shrink further into itself with every angry word he hurled.
I swear you'll end up a no-good-nothing like your mom.
Karlie's hands clenched into fists. The girl's wide, tear-filled eyes struck a chord deep within her, bringing back memories she had fought hard to bury. She had been that girl once, trapped and helpless, but this time she could do something about it. She backed away from the window, her mind racing. She couldn't just barge in. This wasn't a simple fight she could break up in an alley. This was a child's life, tangled in a situation far more complex than her usual encounters, and so karma needed a plan. The next day. By daylight, Karlie Westbrook sat in her office, her mind far from the marketing campaigns on her desk. She couldn't stop thinking about the girl. During her lunch break, Karlie made a call to a friend who worked at a women's shelter, discreetly gathering information about resources for children in abusive homes. She learned that the system often failed to intervene unless there was undeniable proof of physical harm, a frustrating barrier Karlie knew all too well. Her friend's words echoed in her mind. "You have to be careful, Karlie. Sometimes stepping in can make things worse. If he suspects she told someone, it could escalate." That night, Karlie returned to the house, this time as Karma. She had spent the day researching the man. His name was Rick Dempsey, a construction foreman with a history of run-ins with the law. Nothing major, just enough to paint a picture of someone who thrived on intimidation and control. Karma waited in the shadows until the house went quiet. Then, with the agility of a cat, she climbed to the girl's bedroom window. A single knock on the glass startled the girl, who approached cautiously. When she saw Karma's masked face, she froze. "Don't scream, I'm here to help."
Who are you?
"Someone who knows what you're going through." "What's your name?"
Lila.
"Lila, listen to me. I know it's scary, but I need you to tell me the truth. Are you safe here?" Tears welled up in Lila's eyes as she shook her head.
He's mean. He yells all the time, and sometimes he
She stopped, her voice breaking.
hits me.
"Okay, I'm going to help you, but you have to trust me. Can you do that?" As Lila nodded and dried her tears, Karma swiftly disappeared. The plan. A twofold approach is needed to expose Rick and ensure Lila had a safe place to go. So over the next few nights, Karma gathered all the evidence she needed. Using a small recording device hidden near the house, she captured audio of Rick's rants, threats, and violent acts towards Lila. She even followed him to work, documenting his behavior and identifying patterns that could be used against him. Finally, with enough evidence in hand, Karma swiftly delivered an anonymous tip to Child Protective Services, providing the recordings and a detailed account of Rick's actions. But Karma didn't stop there. She returned to Lila's window one last time. "Tomorrow, someone is going to come and take you to a safe place. When they do, Don't be scared. You'll be free of him. I promise. Lila's lips trembled, but she managed a small smile.
Thank you.
The reckoning. The next day, CPS arrived at Rick's house with police in tow. As they questioned him, Rick exploded in anger, shouting, cursing, and swinging fists as officers restrained him. Lila was escorted out by a kind-looking woman who wrapped her in a protective hug. Later that evening, Karma had more in store. That evening, she made her way to the county jail to see Rick. Concealed as a visitor, she patiently waited until they were finally face to face in the visiting room. He wore a devilish smirk.
Who the hell are you?
Karlie, aka Karma, leaned forward, her voice a low whisper. I'm the one who made sure you'll never hurt her again. Karma stood, locking eyes with him. She uttered her final words. The name is Karma, and now you're my bitch. Rick's smirk turned to confusion and fear, realizing it would be a long time before he saw the outside world again. The aftermath. Karlie sat cross-legged on her bed, the soft glow of her bedside lamp casting warm light over her journal. The world outside her apartment was quiet, but inside her thoughts raced. The familiar leather-bound book lay open on her lap, its pages already filled with a year's worth of memories, fears, and victories. She exhaled deeply. Picking up her pen, she wrote October 27th at the top of the page. Tonight, I broke a chain. Not mine, but someone else's. Lila. I can still see the way her eyes lit up when she realized she was finally free. It reminded me of the first night I felt free after leaving Derek. The fear doesn't vanish right away, but there's a spark, a small ember of hope that starts to grow. That's what I saw in her. She paused, running her fingers over the edge of the journal, thinking back to the moment Lila had been taken to safety. The look on Rick's face when he was dragged away by the cops replayed in her mind. It wasn't satisfaction she felt, it was relief. Rick is gone. He can't hurt her anymore, but I know there are so many more out there, just like him. Men who think power comes from control, men who believe fear is strength. I know what it feels like to be trapped by someone like that, to feel small and invisible. But I also know what it feels like to fight back. Tonight wasn't just about saving Lila. It was about proving to myself that I can make a difference. For years, I thought my voice didn't matter, that my pain didn't matter. But now, as Karma, I know better. Every time I put on that mask, I'm not just fighting for the ones I help. I'm fighting for the version of myself that never had anyone to fight for her. Karlie closed her eyes, the weight of the night finally catching up to her. A tear slipped down her cheek, but it wasn't sadness. It was release. I hope Lila sleeps peacefully tonight. I hope she dreams of a world where she's loved and safe and strong. And I hope she grows up knowing that she's worth fighting for. She wiped her tear away and signed the entry with a simple phrase she had started using for herself, a quiet affirmation of her mission and her purpose. With that, Karlie closed the journal, setting it on her nightstand. She turned off the light, lying back in bed as a calmness settled over her. Somewhere out there, Lila was starting a new chapter in her life, and Karlie living in her purpose as
Karma.